last bit of thing that we'll go over, right? That we'll kind of go over why Pete is one and done. And I call them the 5 cores, right? The core competencies. Okay. I even used Chat GPT. I did my research and I came up with the 5 most important core competencies for a head coach, even in a losing season, that if he is doing these things, at least maybe 3 out of the 5, you could say, yes, we keep him, right? Yes, we keep him. This is a coach that we continue to go on. So first core, player development must be clear and visible. Even if the team is losing, the coach must show the willingness and improvement of young players, draft picks, right? And fundamentals, right? At least establishing these things with young core, finding core young players and developing these players. That's the first one. Is that happening? Right? Is that happening? So player development, right? So that is the first core. Number 1, is this happening? Is Pete developing these players, right? And is Pete actually getting these players better, right? That would be the one. So for me, I think we all know the answer to that question. No. No, there's no player development. Actually, players have gotten worse, right? Players have gotten worse since being here. So there's that. I mean, and y'all continue to let me know down below, man. Let me know the answers to these too. I don't want to just answer it by myself. Hold on. I gotta write this down. You know, I gotta write this down. Okay, cool. Boom. So y'all let me know down below. Okay, so yes or no for player development. Okay, I'm seeing a lot. Facts. Nope. Yep. Okay, so second one, right? The second core competency that a coach, I believe, needs. So first was player development. Second, locker room belief. Does it look like the team still believes? Simple. That's simple. That's simple, because in a losing season, as a head coach anyway, that's your job. Garner the belief. That's your job, bro. You're leading 32, or not 32, but 54 paid grown-ass men, right? 54, sometimes 53, really. But you're leading grown-ass men who are getting paid, bro. You have to have belief. Does it look like the players are still fighting? Does it look like the players are still bought in? That y'all let me know, right? Does it look like the players are still bought in? Is there public frustration? Is there finger pointing going on within the organization, right? Do you see division happening within the squad? Is all these things happening? I would say those things are happening, and I would say the locker room belief is dwindling, right? There's finger pointing. There don't look like motherfuckers is bought in. Really don't. After a mistake or something happens, bro, we fall apart. So right now we're 0 for 2 on our cores, right? We are 0 for 2 on our cores. Remember, 3 out of 5, to me, you skate by, right? 3 out of 5 cores, you skate by, but we're 0 for 2 already, dog. And this is an experienced coach. This is not a first-time head coach, but we're 0 for 2. Next, third competency that I feel that this one right here, right? I feel that this one right here is one of the most important ones. I feel like it's second most important, because one of the last ones I feel like is more important than this one. But hold on. All right, cool. Third one would be, is there a clear culture from the head coach? Is there a clear culture from Pete Carroll and what we have? Now, for the last one where you say locker room belief, there's a lot of F no's. Nope. Interesting, right? Now A says Pete hasn't been here to develop the team and the talent has been trash. Okay, we're gonna stop this, and because again, we need the positives and we need people arguing for Pete's side. Ace, what do you mean by Pete hasn't been here to develop the team? Has he not been here this whole time? Who's been coaching them? Who selected these draft picks? Who had a say? Who had a say in all these free agents? Who brought the quarterback here? So I don't know about that. You know, I don't know about that. And so as far as like rookies that get drafted, are they just like not supposed to get better? They're like, you're not supposed to do anything with them, you know, this first year. It's crazy. You know, I see a lot of other teams and shit that have their rookies play and play well. I'm just saying, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, what I need to know that. You know what I mean? It don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Now, this is the third. Is the culture clear? Right. So we're talking about that. We're talking about Pete hasn't been here to develop the team. But realistically, this is the second most important one to me. Because one, a coach needs to have a culture anyway. But two, what was Pete really brought in here to do? Let's not forget the main topic of Pete's job, right? Because I didn't think he was going to take us to. I didn't think that he was going to take us to the playoffs year one. Never thought that. Never once. But what I did think was he was going to set a culture. I did think Pete was going to come in here and at least set a floor and set a precedent and a standard, right? I at least thought that was going to happen. Okay? I'm not sitting here saying playoffs, but it's like, come on, dog. You know what I mean? Come on, dog. We need some type of culture, some type of something, right? To hold on to and to gravitate to say, okay, fine, we're losing, but we can hold on to these cores in this shit right here to take us into next year, right? Next year. Ace, you digging your own grave, big dog. You digging your own grave. He was brought here to evaluate talent, and that didn't happen overnight. If he was brought here to evaluate talent, tell me why Blue Kelly's still seeing snaps. If that's the case, let me know. If he was brought here to evaluate talent, tell me why he put Will Putnam in and he put Jordan Meredith at guard before even seeing a snap of JPJ and Jordan Meredith in that combo that we saw last year. I mean, but you said he was brought here to evaluate talent. It's not like he didn't just get here in fucking September. He didn't get here in September. He actually said he was watching film of this team, correct? We're talking about evaluating talent. Why do we, if he was brought here to evaluate talent, why is our second round pick not seeing any grass? Why is our third round pick healthy scratches? It's him. That's what you mean, bro. Like you digging your grave, Big G. You digging your own grave. None of you saying is not making sense. If Pete is here to evaluate talent, why isn't he the GM? See, look, and then this the next thing, bro. This the next thing. The whole thing is we'd have a first-time GM, and really, I'm more mad at Spytek for not speaking up, right? Speaking up for himself and talking, because that's on him for me, bro. Spytek, that's on you, bro. You got to talk. This is your first job. You got to check nuts, bro, and tell Pete that he can't do everything that he wants to do. But Mo just broke it down for us very politely, very plain, bro. Nobody has that resume up in there to check Pete on what he can and cannot do. Nobody. It's free reign up in there, dog. Free reign. Mark don't make it clear on whose job is whose. So at this point, bro, nobody's checking us. Nobody's saying anything. So for me, they're just going off, okay, well, Pete got the highest resume, so we're just going to listen to Pete. Right? There you go, bro. I don't know. And that's the problem, bro. We're just defaulting to Pete because he has the biggest resume and he's accomplished the most. When realistically, we're not really looking at the moves he's making and the people that he's bringing in and letting go and saying, what are we doing? What are we doing? Jermaine Pratt, right? We still don't know what the fuck went on with that. Still don't know. It took Gruden 3 years to get us back. Big dog, this man has a 3-year contract. He's 74. And guess what? I would be all with you, Ace. Ace, I'd be all with you. If your coach didn't come out here and tell us that he's won 10 games his whole career and he's gonna win a bunch of games. He came out here and he said at the beginning of the season, we're going to win a bunch of games. Nobody said that. Nobody told him to say that. Nobody told Pete to come out here and say nothing about no fucking 10 wins and all the extra. He voluntarily said that. You want to know why, Ace? Because he wholeheartedly believes that. He wholeheartedly believed he could have got 10 wins with the squad in the direction that he was doing, which should tell you something. But we'll continue. Every coach that comes in here seems to be the belief that they're above the GM. Thank you, LS. It's Mark. That is on Mark for not setting the hierarchy, but this is the problem, bro. Every coach comes here and not really working with the GM. That's the problem. So, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about this real quick. Is the culture clear? Is there a clear culture? Because look, Ace, even if what you're arguing to me is true, right, about he needs time and all that extra, but guess what? Even with Gruden and all the shit that we dealt with that first year and the second year, because we were asked that first and second year, the culture, you could see it though, right? You could feel it. You could feel it. Even, I don't give a damn what most of y'all say, even with last year, you could have felt something. It's a little something with AP. You feel a little something. What are we? What's the identity? What's the culture? I don't feel it. I don't see it. Right? Titus Green says it's like when you got to take the car keys away from Pawpaw. Yep. Like, hey, dog, you know, I got to do it with my grandma. I had to do it with my grandma this year. Right? Sad reality. You can't fucking drive no more. Right? You drive, and I'm going to be getting a call somewhere that somebody's car done got dented up and hit up and shit. Right? Can't do that. Right? So your keys are revoked. You can't drive no more. This is what they should have did with him and all this GM prowess. Right? He shouldn't be getting all this. But even if what Ace is starting to argue to me, and a lot of people argue to me that the time is needed and all that extra, at least a culture is being set, an identity is established, right? We're a running team. We're a physical team. We're going to lean on this defense. We're going to lean on these things, right? What is our identity? I need to know it. I don't know. Maybe somebody smarter than me could tell me. You know, maybe somebody smarter than me, smarter than moi. I don't see an identity of this team. You know, we were supposed to be a running team, right? We were supposed to be a smash mouth team, but our 6th overall pick got 6 carries. So it's not that, right? It's not that. You know, hopefully we thought after the first game we were going to be air raid, maybe. We 32nd in the fucking league in passing yards per game. It's not that, right? It's not that. You know, maybe defense. Pete Carroll, you know, he works with the secondary, and PG's back for his 4th year. Maybe defense, we lean on that. We done gave up 40 points, damn near 40 points a game 4 times. It ain't that. So I don't know what it is. Maybe a red zone defense, right? Because Pete Carroll's teams and defenses are always good in the red zone. Bottom in the league in red zone in that. We have no identity, bro. It's nothing. Nothing that you can lean your hat on and say that we can build this for next year. Zero zilch. And if you're saying something, you're lying. You're lying. At the top of my head, I can't even think of anything off the top of my fucking head. So it's like, come on, bro. You know, what are we doing? What are we doing? P-Lo says it's a nepotism culture. Pete's kids have no business coaching the line and running it. Nah, fuck no. Hell no. DJ says they gave a 74-year-old coach too much power over the organization. That's a sign of a weak and fragile organization. Correct, bro. Oscar says Pete has to go. Yep. Dre, he did win a bunch of football games. He didn't win a bunch of games. He didn't say football games though. Real talk though. Real talk. So A says, don't get me wrong, I wasn't happy with the Pete pick because he's got a few years left. Why wouldn't pick someone younger, but he's here now, so we're just gonna start again with someone new? Yes. Because this is why, man. Ace, and I've said it all the time, bro. Like, we've never had these 3 things aligned. Coach opening, a top 3 pick, and top 3 in salary cap space. Now, I say never because I'm only 27 years old, and a lot of that old shit that happened don't count for me. So it is what it is. But as far as in my fandom, right, and what I know, those three things do not align for us all the time. We have a chance for them three things to align, right? And usually the teams and organizations that get the good coaches in those cycles have those three things that align. So there it is, right? Now, look here, bro. This is what I want people to really, really hone in on. We're talking about 5 core competencies for a head coach. We're 0 for 3. 0 for 3. We don't have none. None. There's no player development, minimal locker room belief, right? Minimal locker room belief. The culture is not clear. The culture is definitely not clear. Fourth one, we know for shit sure this is definitely not happening. Must be competitive. Fuck no. Right? So there's no on that. We're 0 for 4. We are 0 for 4 in any sport. 0 for 4 gets your ass looked at sideways, except maybe baseball. But even that, you might have to hit 1 out of the 4. Like something. You feel what I'm saying? So no player development. No locker room, minimal locker room belief. The culture is definitely not clear. We are definitely not fucking competitive, right? We are definitely not fucking competitive. That is the 4th competency, and I'm pretty sure that all of us can agree that we are not competitive in any of these games. Right now, there's a couple that we can point to and be like, we did good here and we did good there, but they're sparse and sparingly in spots, right? We know that for sure. The last thing, hold on. Yep. The last thing that I'm going to put over here, because I think this is the one we got to focus on. And I think this comes for every successful coach. This comes from every successful organization as well. When you look around, this is what it needs to be successful. For an office alignment. Is there front office alignment with your head coach? Is there synergy between the GM and head coach? Look around the league. Look around. Any good squad has this right here. I take the Rams, right? You take the Rams because right now they're one of the best run organizations. You look at the Eagles. Look at that. Look at the synergy. Look at how the jobs are being distributed. Look at how people are doing their jobs. Right? So every successful NFL team in the league right now, even some, we can even look in our fucking division. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the Chiefs. When you look at their GM and Andy Reid, how that relationship cultivated championships and how they were doing their things. Look at the Bills, where they're getting down. Right? So this is a must. Doesn't matter. You look around all 32 teams, bro. This shit is a constant. It's a constant. And then you look around at our 20 plus years of history. This is a constant not happening. It's just not happening for us. So when you see that the teams that are successful and they are doing things, doing this very thing, and you get to understanding that in our 20 plus years of history, over the last 20 years, we have not done this very thing, it's very easy to see why we are not one of the better organizations in the league. Now, keep in mind with you, Ace, I think that when we start to say something about Pete Carroll, right, I think a lot of us are losing track of the most important thing. The most important thing. Because I know a lot of us get to panicking because we're like, oh, shit, another head coach. Oh, man, more. You know what I mean? Who's going to want to come here or whatever the case, right? We hate finding more coaches and doing all these things. I understand that. We get the Raider PTSD, as I like to call it. But I think this is the most important thing that we got to focus on. This shit right here. This is the most important piece of news as a Raider fan that should give you some hope. Why? Now, some of you shouldn't like, and some of you don't like John Spytek. I understand. Okay, whatever. We're 2-8, and why this gives me hope is because If he stays, the vision and the culture can still be established, right? Now, the vision is this motherfucker right here, right? There's some of the vision. Once the vision is now passed on, the coach takes that vision and turns that shit into culture, right? And right now, we don't have that alignment to say, hey, I got this vision, bro. This is what I think this team can do. This is what I think we can be in the future. But right now, it's cloudy. We don't have that, okay, I got you. He's not taking that vision and turning that shit into culture. He's listening and saying, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, right? This right here is more important than Pete being kept or fired. If Spytek stays, that is a step in the right direction for an organization that we haven't done this shit in a very long time. Because usually we're trying to find both, right? And I think the main reason on why I think we're always spinning our wheels because we never have a GM, right? The GM is the really most important thing to say, like, he has to build the team. You look around the league, there are certain coaches or GMs that have been through some coaches. You know what I'm saying? Certain GMs have been through some coaches and shit, hired some coaches, fired some coaches, did all that. We're always having first-time guys and first-time this. I mean, shit, maybe it's time to keep the GM, right? Oh, my God. Shout out to my guy, DJ, man, in the building, man. Says, for a $10 holla, appreciate you, big dog. Says, rundown, how would you rebuild the Raiders roster from scratch? Prioritizing in which order positions from address from first to last. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You know what, DJ? I'm going to give you a preview. Bro, because guess what? This is a show that I'm working on for us a little closer to the end of the season once the draft order is a little more set. I'm working on this show because I want to have a whole full hour deep dive live on each position group and speak on how we going to fix this. But I'm going to give y'all some short, intermediate, whatever, and we'll talk about it in depth more. First and foremost, we need a top 3 pick. That's mandatory. So in my assessment, we have a top 3 pick, right? You know what I'm saying? Definitely firing Pete. I got some coaches on the list. So you know how I break it down. We got to go step by step, man. So we're going to go through coaches that I already have, like a nice little list. I'm compiling the list right now. We're going to go through the coaches, right? Once we do that, boom, we're going to go through our little depth chart, but we're going to find a nice little coach. After we do that, I got, some players in free agency to grab, right? You feel what I'm saying? Y'all already know one. I'll give y'all one. George Pickens already is on my list. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I don't care. I had a small disagreement with my guy Chris because he didn't like some of the Steelers things that went on there. He had no problems here with the Cowboys. I don't know what it is with Pittsburgh. Something in the water over there with receivers that makes the motherfuckers go crazy. I don't know what it is, but he's had no problems with the boys. Y'all just see what he did on Monday night. He's been doing that shit all season, right? We need a receiver. We need a receiver, bro. A guy like that to go with Brock Bowers, dirty work, right? Dirty work. So I'm definitely spending money on that. When it comes to the offensive line, bro, I'm finding the best offensive lineman I can in the free agency. Try to get them to come here. You know what I mean? See what I can do there. I don't want to bargain shop when it comes to the offensive and defensive line. Can't do that. Now in the draft, if we got a top 3 pick, you know where I'm going, dog. You know what time it is. We're not going to prolong this shit any further, right? We're going to get a quarterback. Not only because it's time to finally invest in that position, but at the same time, money-wise, thinking long-term, we're always strapped and tied down to these big-ass veteran quarterback contracts because we're trying to get the next fucking Gannon and all the extra. No more. Right? We're not doing that no more. We never think about this, but having a rookie on that rookie quarterback contract gives us flexibility for more free agent roster moves. Instead of saying, fuck, we got to pay Geno Smith $40-something million here, and now we're still fuck all that. You know what I mean? So keep him. Now, some of y'all might not like to hear this. I'm keeping Geno Smith, though. Keeping Geno Smith just for the training camp. Why am I doing that? Because unlike our current coach, I'm all about competition. Not only is Geno a person that's probably going to want to prove himself, right? to the organization, but after a shitty year like this, but you just drafted a quarterback and you basically said, we don't believe in you no further, guy. So he's going to be in training camp throwing with some shit to prove. And against my newly drafted quarterback, yeah, let me see. I'm gonna open this shit up. I want to see how good you are. I want to see where you're at. And if you can beat a veteran Geno Smith, who is actually, trying to prove some shit and bounce back and all the extra, I know you're ready. Then we go into that. Now, that's just a piece. Just a piece. Defense is its whole other thing, dog, because when it comes to defense, oh, my God, we're going to have to build that bitch from the ground up. You feel what I'm saying? Ground up. And in the draft really is probably where we're going to have to do it at. That's the shitty part, right? About where we are as a team, because we need so many pieces, but we need the main piece, which is the quarterback, right? So if you spend that top 3 pick on the quarterback, you then handicapped for the rest of the draft to say you need to get defensive players because we don't have no defensive talent, right? So, I mean, but this is the deep dive we're going to go through, bro. Trust me. Look, I got a whole bunch of shit planned. I've started, like I said a couple nights ago. I've honed in, bro. I'm trying to be the best Raider YouTuber on this motherfucker, bro. I've already made my mind up. It is what it is. So not only that, but trying to make this a real thing. So we got this. We're going to have our big show. I'm going to try to figure out to do some gaming, bro. I ain't going to cap. Because I've been seeing people do the little Madden rebuilds and franchises. I like that. You know what I mean? That might be a little cool if we can do a little Madden rebuild, rundown franchise on this mug. Go by it week to week. You know what I mean? Really build, get y'all input and all the extra. That should be fine. So I'm trying to figure out how to set that up, of course, and do all that extra. So that, to me, man, look, hey, that's the 5 core competencies. I know that's a long rant and all the extra. I'm over here losing my motherfucking train of thought. That's how you know, hey, I had a long ass night yesterday, y'all. Like I said, dealing with baby rundown, bro. Your boy had a long ass night. I'm just sitting on motherfucking damn near 2 hours of sleep. You feel what I'm saying? But don't matter. We coming out here and we doing work. Either way, appreciate everybody for hopping in here. But that's our 5 core competencies in our rant about the core competencies. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed that. You know what I mean? If you agree, you already know why we got to fire Pete. If you disagree, obviously, respectfully, you know what I mean? I would like to see why you disagree and why we can talk about these things. Now, we're going to get ready to end this thing on out here. And y'all already know, man, the best way that we can end this thing out is... Man, it's the rundown, man. That's where we break it all down, put a nice little silver and black bow on the show. And at the same time, man, break down what we're going to see on Sunday before we really get angry and all that. Now, appreciate, hold up, Rosetown in the building. He says the top 5 pick, we will get Reese, Downs, Mendoza, Simpson, Moore can be there. Look at, you see this list? That's why we need a top 5 pick. It's so beautiful. Can be there for us, and these old linemen. It will depend on what we do this offseason, who we hire. Correct, bro. You see, these players and names and having the top 5 pick and this money is why we need a coach and with vision, right? A coach that can understand the GM's vision. We just talked about it. A coach that can understand the GM's vision and at the same time disseminate that into culture, right? So that is a main reason why I think we need to move on from Pete, bro. I don't think that's aligned. And this is very important. This is, this is a crossroad that we're at as an organization. Crossroad. Because if we fuck this up right here, having a top 3 pick and top 3 in cap space, if we fuck this up, we're going to be fucked up for the next 4 or 5 years, bro. That's that 4 or 5 years, because guess what? You're going to waste another opportunity to further yourself. Another opportunity to further you know what I mean? To get closer. Just get closer. That's all it is, bro. So for me,